At the beginning of the movie, we see a boy named Ben who finds himself trapped in a room. He must escape, or he will die. The scene then shifts to a flashback, where we are introduced to Zoe, a physics student. Following this, we see Ben again, the same person from the beginning. He works as a stock boy in a grocery store but aspires to become a cashier. However, due to his drinking and smoking habits, he is not offered the cashier job. Next, we are introduced to Jason, a stockbroker. All three, Zoe, Ben, and Jason, receive a box from an acquaintance. The box is not easy to open, but using their abilities, they eventually manage to open it. Inside is an invitation to an escape room, essentially a labyrinth. If they manage to escape, they will win a prize of $10,000. Motivated by this, they decide to participate. Upon arrival, they meet three other participants: Amanda, a soldier, Mike, a truck driver, and Danny. Although all six arrive at the location, no one is there to welcome them. They wait for the game master, but no one shows up. When Ben attempts to step outside to smoke, the door handle comes off in his hand. They then realize the game has already begun, and they are inside the escape room. They begin trying to find a way out. On a table, they find several magazines, all featuring doctors' names. They also find a book titled Fahrenheit 451, referring to a specific temperature. They notice a temperature control device near the broken door handle. Zoe sets the temperature to 451 degrees, and immediately, red lights on the ceiling switch on. These are heating dryers, and the room starts getting hotter. As they interact with various elements in the room, more dryers activate, increasing the room temperature further. Zoe then notices a nameplate on the wall that reads, "Dr. Yutan always says to use the coaster on the table." When she presses one of the coasters on the table, a hidden door opens, revealing a duct. When all six coasters are pressed simultaneously, the duct opens fully. Since the coasters must remain pressed, they place glasses of water on each one to keep the door open. They crawl through the duct, and just as they reach the other side, there is an explosion, but they survive and enter another room. This room is also locked and requires a 7-letter password to open. On one wall, a phrase is written, "You will go down in history." Ben recalls singing this line with his friends in a car one day, from a song that includes the name Riddle. They try using Riddle as the password, and it works. The door unlocks and they exit the room. Outside, it's extremely cold, with snow falling. But as Danny steps forward, he discovers it is all an illusion. A 3D screen has been set up. When he touches the screen, a duct beneath opens and starts blasting icy cold air. If they don't escape quickly, they will freeze to death. They find a door, but it is locked, and they must find the key quickly. They also find a single jacket, realizing it has been provided to incite conflict among them. However, they decide to share the jacket, and Zoe wears it first. They discover a fishing rod and dip the line into the water, which turns out to be very deep and fast-flowing. Using a compass found nearby, Zoe finds a bear frozen in the ice. She puts her hand into the bear's mouth and retrieves a magnet. She returns to the others and attaches the magnet to the fishing line, lowering it into the water. They retrieve an ice cube stuck to the magnet. Inside is a key. They try to break the ice cube but fail. Ben has a lighter, and as Danny approaches him to get it, he slips and falls into the water. The strong current pulls him away, resulting in his death. The rest of the group is now terrified. If they can't melt the ice cube, they will all die. They begin using their body heat to melt it, and eventually retrieve the key. However, it doesn't fit the visible door. It belongs to a hidden door behind them. After much effort, they manage to open it and run toward it. As they do, the ice behind them begins to crack, but they make it into the fourth room just in time. In the next room, everything is upside down, meaning all the objects are placed inversely, with the ceiling below and the floor above. Suddenly, they notice a door that has no handle. They realize they must find the handle in order to exit the room. They look at the pool table placed above and notice that the 8-ball is missing. The room is named the 8-ball pool room, indicating they need to find that specific ball. Amanda, a soldier, climbs up and finds a safe. However, it requires a 4-word password to open. Meanwhile, the floor begins to shift slowly, revealing a deep drop beneath. Zoe solves a wall puzzle, which reveals the password. Amanda uses it to unlock the safe and retrieves the 8-ball, which also serves as the door handle. Amanda must now bring the ball to the others on the opposite side. She begins to cross by hanging from a bridge structure, but the ball slips from her hand. She quickly retrieves it and hands it to Jason. However, the floor collapses beneath her, and Amanda ends up clinging to a telephone cord. Unable to hold on for long, she falls and dies. The remaining 4 participants move on to the next room, which resembles a hospital ward with 6 beds, each having a file placed on it. These files contain the participants' personal histories, 2 of whom have already died. They learn that each of them had survived a tragic incident in their lives where others perished. They are all considered lucky. The person orchestrating these tasks wants to determine who among them is the luckiest. They find X-rays of fingers, which Ben interprets as his brother is hearing impaired and uses sign language. Ben decodes the hand signs from the X-rays. Just then, a countdown begins, and they are informed that within 3 minutes, poisonous gas will start to fill the room. Zoe begins smashing the cameras, believing that they can never escape if they keep following someone else's rules. Jason discovers a machine and tells Mike and Ben that if they connect it to their heart and match the correct heart rate, the door will open. Despite many attempts, nothing works. A voice over the radio says, "Testing your limits." Jason realizes that he must push his boundaries. He gives Mike an electric shock, which increases Mike's heart rate, but the door doesn't open. Instead, Mike dies. Now only 3 remain. Jason deduces that he must lower his heart rate, not increase it. He connects himself to the machine, calms his body, reduces his heartbeat, and the door opens. However, Zoe refuses to go with him, believing that as long as she follows their rules, she will never make it out. Soon, Zoe loses consciousness, while Jason and Ben proceed. They arrive in a circular chamber with a lid. When they rotate it, the lid opens. But they soon realize their hands are covered in a liquid, a drug that causes dizziness. The lid has a note indicating that the antidote is also inside the room. Both start searching. Ben finds the antidote. Jason tries to snatch it from him, but Ben injects himself and escapes the room while Jason dies. Meanwhile, Zoe regains consciousness in the hospital-like room and sees 2 people wearing masks cleaning the area. As she is wearing an oxygen mask, she gets up and attacks them. Ben finds himself in another room where he must enter a 4-digit password. This is the same scene shown at the beginning of the movie. Using a few pictures, Ben deciphers the password and exits the room. Eventually, Ben comes face to face with the game master, who explains that this kind of competition is organized every year. Just like people place bets in horse racing, wealthy individuals bet on the contestants, and if their chosen player wins, they earn millions or even billions. Ben begins to believe he has won, but the game master suddenly attacks him. At that moment, Zoe arrives and shoots the game master. However, he survives and attacks her. Zoe and Ben together manage to kill him and finally escape the escape room. Ben is injured and taken to the hospital. Zoe, along with a detective, visits the building but finds it completely empty. Everything has disappeared. The police and detective refuse to believe their story. Zoe realizes that the doctor's name, Dr. Wu-Tan Yu, is actually an anagram of No Way Out, confirming that the game is not yet over. 6 months later, Zoe visits Ben and shows him a newspaper clipping reporting the deaths of their 4 former teammates. She tells him that the next game is set to take place in a Manhattan building, and she already has flight tickets for both of them. Meanwhile, in Manhattan, preparations are underway for the next escape room. New tasks are being designed for new players. The organizers also have complete information about Zoe and Ben, including the flight they will be taking to Manhattan. And with this, the movie ends. Let us know how you liked the story in the comments section. For more such videos, Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.